Hey, happy Monday. Come on in, pull up a chair. The Daily Dope is in the air. Howdy, gang. Yes, I'm Jeff McAleer, back once again as your host here at The Daily Dope, presented by thegaminggang.com. Today is Monday, February 18th, 2019. This is episode 247 of The Daily Dope. So, come on in. Welcome aboard, everybody. Kind of settling in. I was running around a little bit today. Today was another day of or afternoon of cardiovascular rehab. So I was doing that today. And now last Thursday was Valentine's Day. So I don't do shows on holidays, even though, not like I was celebrating Valentine's Day. And then on Fridays, I went in for my cardiovascular rehab, right? Because I go Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And strangely enough, all last week, my blood pressure was up. And it's not as if something different was going on or I had like additional stress or anything like that. Very, very strange. So today, same thing. I go in and it's the bottom number. What do they call that? I don't know, die something, blah, whatever. The bottom number. So like if okay, so like normally on the medications and stuff like that I take after last year's heart attack, usually when I would go in for my cardiovascular rehab, my blood pressure would be about, a lot of times it'd be like 117 over 78 ish. So that's like really good. But then last week it was like always like 130 over 89. One day it was like super high. It was like 170 something over like 104. And they were like, "Whoa, hey, Jeff, you okay? You doing all right?" And I was like, "Yeah, I feel okay." So I don't know. Something weird is going on. And I even told the nurse to my cardiologist that it seems as if this started after I changed my prescription from being at one pharmacy to another completely different company's pharmacy. I don't know. They're going to kind of look into that. They're going to give me a call. But I do apologize for not having a show on Friday. I was told by my nurses to take it easy, just relax. Just get back, relax. And that's what I did pretty much all weekend long. Did a lot of reading. So, but I was reading RPG stuff, so I mean, okay, I was getting things done. Anywho, so enough about me for right now. So, if this is your first time popping in, joining me on the Daily Dope, let me point out it's a very casual show. As you can see, this is a live stream, so if you are watching on YouTube, be sure to, you know what, we're getting some drop frames here. What's cooking? I was going to say, I noticed a little bit of a hop here. So it doesn't look too bad. I don't know. It's really strange. If I get drop frames in the stream, it's usually early. And then last week, there was one night, I had to start the show 3 times. Because the first 2 times, it was like 50 to 75% drop frames. I'm like, oh, this stream is awful. Yeah, looks like we got 109 drop frames and the percentage is dropping. It's staying at 109. So I don't know. Must have been a little bit of a hiccup. Anyway, I do want to point out, if you are watching live on YouTube, there is chat. Chat is available. It is not on screen. It's one of the ways that I keep some of the stranger commenters at bay. But I do pay attention to the chat. So if you want to say hello, or if you have a question, or if you'd like to learn a little bit more about Master of Wills, which is what I'm going to do a little bit of a how to play and review tonight. If you'd like to maybe chime in, have a question about that, by all means, please do. You won't see it on screen, but I do pay attention and I will respond. So, got some news tonight. An eclectic bunch of news tonight. No RPG news for a change. Nothing jumped out at me that was new and exciting. Okay, I take that back. We're gonna start off with RPG news, but it's kind of odd because if you are a fan of Stranger Things, and I mean, come on, really, who isn't? And Dungeons and Dragons, well, you'll be excited to know that Hasbro is going to present a Stranger Things Dungeons and Dragons starter set. And it's coming soon. Here's the dope. The Stranger Things Dungeons and Dragons starter set game said that contains everything players need to embark on a Stranger Things adventure, including the essential rules of the role-playing game. It's a great way for new as well as seasoned Dungeons and Dragons players to experience the D&D adventure Stranger Things character Mike Wheeler has created for his friends. Yes, that's right. This is the adventure that Mike was running his friends through in the first season of Stranger Things early on. Pick your character. Will you be Will the Wise or Dustin the Dwarf? Get your fireballs ready as you investigate the mysterious castle and battle the ferocious Demogorgon. Prepare for just about anything, because the game just got stranger. The game includes Stranger Things Adventure Book, a rule book, 5 Stranger Things character sheets, 6 dice, a Demogorgon figure, and a paintable Demogorgon figure. So one of the Demogorgons is a pre-paint, the other is not. And of course, this will be available at major retailers nationwide. So I believe this is the strange thing about this. This is through Hasbro. This is not actually being promoted, as far as I've seen so far, through Wizards of the Coast on the Dungeons and Dragons website. You know, dnd.wizards.com. No, it seems to be a Hasbro thing, strangely enough. So it is, of course, for ages 14 and up. It is for, I would say, 5-6 players, really, because I think there's 5 character sheets. So let's say 3 to 6, including the Dungeon Master. It's for ages 14 and up, and it should carry a retail price of $24.99 when it arrives on May 1st. Sweet. So I did already talk to my PR contact for Wizards of the Coast, and we're gonna get a chance to take a look at this. So usually I get stuff a couple of weeks ahead of time. Usually 2-3 weeks sometimes in advance of the Wizards of the Coast releases. So we may get to see this sometime in April. So I'm kind of interested in seeing what this turns out to be. I don't know. Could be something kind of cool, and it could be completely goofy. I don't know. I needed to grab a sip there. Once again, it's awfully dry here in the Duct Tape Studios. All right, moving right along. Level 99 Games currently has a Kickstarter running for the final expansion, I believe, for their Millennium Blades card game. I've got just a wee bit of dope. Millennium Blades Collusion, interesting choice of title there, is a final expansion and a storage solution to wrap up the Millennium Blades epic with more than 400 new cards, 6 characters, a team mode, and more. New features include non-player characters, team play, new characters, new sets, and a storage solution for it all. Do want to point out, Collusion is not a standalone expansion. It does require the original Millennium Blades to be played. I have to point out, much of the information about Millennium Blades Collusion was contained in images on the Kickstarter. So what I'm doing here is I am going to show the video, which I usually do on Kickstarters anyway, for the Kickstarter. It runs a little bit over 2 minutes, but you'll get a much better idea of what's in Millennium Blades Collusion.
Greetings, friends. I'm Brad Talton, the founder of Level 99 Games and the creator of Millennium Blades. About 15 years ago, my friends and I fell in love with trading card games. The sense of discovery, expression, and creativity packed into collectible card games brought together a community of friends from different walks of life in a small town, and it carried them through their formative years. If you're at all like me, some variation of my story probably sounds pretty familiar to you. 12 years later, I had grown up, gone to college, and started Level 99 Games. I wanted to capture the magic that those games had brought us, and from that wish came Millennium Blades, a board game about playing trading card games. Among everyone I've asked, Millennium Blades and its sequel Set Rotation were big hits. I believe that it's because we've succeeded in inspiring the same feelings I remember from so long ago. Millennium Blades is already a great game, but I do feel that it's still a little rough around the edges, and that we still have a few things to explore to make it even better. To wrap up Millennium Blades once and for all, our team has created a final large box expansion, Collusion. Collusion ties up all the loose ends for the game, adds a bunch of new cards, and introduces a new variant for team play. It may sound simple, but team play is going to completely change how you think about every aspect of gameplay in Millennium Blades. Collusion will also act as a storage box and organizer for all of Millennium Blades, Set Rotation, and the many expansions available for the game. We've got some other innovations planned, such as deck holders for the store deck, and stretch goals to add custom mats to the store and aftermarket, and more money for higher player counts. We've also cleaned up the rules with a fresh new rulebook that covers the complete series, so you don't need to piece together rules across the two major expansions. Most importantly, we want to make Millennium Blades even easier and more approachable for you and your friends to get to the table, especially with first-time players. I look forward to chatting with you here in the project, unveiling some of our newer, wilder card ideas, and enjoying the nostalgia of the games we all love. Most of all, my hope is that you and your friends have a great time with Collusion. Thanks again for being a part of the project, and as always, happy gaming.
As I pointed out, Millennium Blades is for 2 to 6 players. It's for ages 14 and up. Plays in about 2 to 3 hours, so you're going to get a lot of play out of it. You can reserve a copy of the Collusion expansion and promo cards and unlock stretch goals for a $65 pledge, or you can grab the expansion, the core game, and promos and stretch goals for a $115 pledge through March 3rd. Expected delivery, I believe, if I remember correctly, I think it's December of this year. So I believe it is this year. Now, one thing I do want to point out, and I'm going to kind of change up how I've got everything laid out. Hey, tomorrow, I'll actually be unboxing and taking a look at the core game. This is not the Kickstarter. This is Millennium Blades. I am going to be taking a look at that tomorrow. This is a heavy box. That box is jam-packed with goodies. So, going back over to the news piece. So, and I've heard good things about Millennium Blades. It's supposed to be kind of odd, right? It's supposed to be like collectible card game players. So you're playing a collectible card game player, and then like you're selling cards to stores and stuff I mean, I don't know. It's probably a little bit off the wall. So tomorrow I will be taking a look at the core game, but if you want to get the Collusion expansion, or if you want to grab the core game and the upcoming expansion, by all means, jump onto Kickstarter or go to level99games.com prior to March 3rd. I believe March 3rd is the last day. So there's a party game, which might actually be fun, because I am not a big fan of party games. But this party game's on the horizon. It's from former Ferret Games, and here's the dope, no pun intended, on bad medicine. Have you ever wished you had big pharma power? Now you can in the card game Bad Medicine. Your company is so gigantic that your people who formulate the drugs and your people who pitch the drugs don't even talk to each other. So don't be surprised when the person pitching your company's drugs is just as surprised as everyone else when they see what it actually does. Each card in the game has a portion of a drug name, a small description, and a side effect. Jeez. You'll have to choose between these cards to formulate a drug name and a description of your drug. Then you'll pitch your drug, or if playing with 5 or more players, pass your hand face down to your partner, who must pitch your drug without looking at it first. It's kind of odd. You'll also have to deal with side effects for your drug, which you'll always get from another player. Once you see your drug's side effects, you'll have to explain why it's not as bad as it sounds. Bad Medicine is for 3 to 8 players, ages 16 and up, plays in around 30 minutes, and is going to carry an MSRP of $20 when it arrives March 6th. So that is kind of funny. One of the side effects it shows that clothes are fused to your body. It's like, okay, alrighty then. Might be kind of interesting. Like I said, I'm not a big fan of party games, but this one looked like might be alright. So there is a classic reprint on the horizon. It's from WizKids and Games Workshop, and suddenly I feel a sneeze coming on down here. No, I guess I'm okay. Seems to be a little bit of cat hair floating around. Pinky is down here with me tonight. She hasn't been hanging around down here too much. Pinky's in trouble tonight. I'll mention why in just a few moments. She's snoozing. That's what I'm glancing over at. Because I thought, oh, she like walking around, kicking up a little bit of hair. Anywho, WizKids and Games Workshop are about to reprint the classic talisman-based Warhammer 40k Relic. And I've got the dope. In Relic, 2 to 4 players each assume the role of a powerful individual from the Warhammer 40k universe and bravely venture forth to shield the anti-insector from certain doom. By completing missions and claiming victory over enemies, characters gain rewards and experience, including mighty artifacts called relics, furthering their chance at defeating whatever evil lies beyond the Warp Rift. Based on the classic talisman system, each turn, a player rolls a single 6-sided die before moving their playing piece that number of spaces around the board. Trust me, it's better than just roll and move, folks. That player then draws a card, or cards, to see what they've encountered, pitting their heroic persona against foul enemies, dangerous locations, and fantastic strangers. That'd be me. I'm a fantastic stranger. Not so great when you know me, but I'm a pretty fantastic stranger. And all the while, these intrepid heroes rise in power as they work their way toward the ultimate goal at the center of the board, which could be anything from confronting Kairos Fate Weaver, the two-headed oracle of Tesnik, to fighting for control over the lost flagship of Saint Antius. I don't know, I'm not a huge 40k person, so I'm sure I mispronounced all of those. The new WizKids edition will feature improved and expanded, highly detailed busts of the 10 available player characters, as well as upgraded punchboard player and scenario cards. Interesting, because they're, is it Trail of... No, I'm thinking of something. It's their Dracula game. I always forget the name of it. It started off as a Games Workshop game, then it was over at Fantasy Flight, and now it's over at WizKids. Fury of Dracula. I kept wanting to say Trail of Dracula. I don't know why. It was almost like exactly the same as the FFG version, as far as I heard. I don't know. I have not seen it, but I was told by people who picked it up who had both that it was just a carbon copy. There was nothing different, which was okay. I mean, it was out of print for a while from FFG. Anywho, will you save humanity or fall to the powers of chaos? Warhammer 40k Relic is for 2 to 4 players, ages 14 and up, plays in 2 to 3 hours, and will carry an MSRP of $69.99 when it releases in July. I have no idea why that other slide popped up. Should point out there's also a deluxe edition. I believe this is going to be in limited numbers. It will feature pre-painted character busts, all, 10? And that will carry an MSRP of $119.99. So there you have it. I have never played Relic. I gotta be honest. I've never played Talisman. I know, and I have been gaming since the late 70s into the early 80s. I don't think we started really playing board games probably until about 80, 81-ish. And I know Talisman has been around for quite some time. Gotta point out, I gotta be honest, I've never played Cosmic Encounter. So, sorry. Can I tell you, I've played a lot of other stuff. Well, played a lot of stuff that people probably never heard of. But, all right, so my final news piece is from my friends over at Fireside Games. That's right, because the year of Castle Panic is about to really kick off for Fireside as my first Castle Panic arrives next month. Here's the dope. My first Castle Panic, like its predecessor, Castle Panic, is a cooperative game in which players work together to defend their castle. But this game removes the reading requirement of the earlier one, because reading is tough, and fosters the development of educational skills such as identifying colors and shapes, problem solving, which I still can't do, and turn taking. In the game, monsters follow a single path toward a single large, eye-catching castle, which is protected by one wall. The castle has walls, but the big protective wall is just, there's one. Each step toward the castle is identified by a color and a shape. Players hold cards in their hands with cute defenders who also have a color and shape. When a card is played that matches the location of the monster, that monster is captured and thrown in the dungeon. This is a game for little kids, so they're thrown in the dungeon, okay? All right? And they're given a timeout. They're not mistreated in the dungeon, just taking a timeout in the dungeon for being bad monsters. Tension builds as more monsters are placed and move along the path toward the castle. If the castle is destroyed, the players lose. If it still stands when all the monsters are in the dungeon, the players win. My first Castle Panic is for 1 to 4 players, ages 4 and up. Plays in around 20 minutes and is going to carry an MSRP of $19.95 when it arrives on March 6th. Very cool, very nice. Something fun for the kids. I've played Castle Panic. I don't own Castle Panic. I have Munchkin Panic, so which we enjoy. But I have played Castle Panic. Elliot's got it. Elliot's got Castle Panic. And I think Elliot's actually got some of the, I think he's got some of the expansions to it as well. So, kind of cool for ages 4 and up. Wow. I don't know. I mean, it's been a long time since my niece would have been the last 4-year-old child that I was around. I don't know. I don't recall anybody ever playing games with her, like little board games and that. I don't know. Maybe not. So, all right. So I am going to get into my how to play and review of Master of Wills in just a few moments. I wanted to point out, I got a chance to actually watch Titans over the weekend. Remember, I told you I was kind of relaxed and I did some reading, some RPG reading, and stream stuff. It was my exciting weekend. So I watched Titans, most of Titans, and I watched the premiere of Doom Patrol. And Titans is all right. I'm really surprised. The Doom Patrol too. Really, really surprised by the language in the episodes. Okay, so I'm looking at the drop frames. Still dropping some, but not too bad. So I apologize. There's probably some parts of this video that are kind of like skipping. Not too bad. We're less than 1%. But anyway, so I watched Doom Patrol. I actually liked it. I was like, okay, so I thought the special effects were a little weaker than the special effects on Titans. But I don't know. I gotta say, I'm interested to see what happens on the show, because Doom Patrol has always been kind of a bizarre comic as far as DC goes. Even when it premiered back in the 60s. 68-ish, maybe? No, maybe not. 65-ish? because Doom Patrol and X-Men kind of came out around the same time. In fact, there were stories that the creator of Doom Patrol used to blame Stan Lee. Said Stan Lee ripped off Doom Patrol for the X-Men because they came out like at the same time. Doom Patrol did not come out before X-Men; they came out like exactly at the same time. So yeah, I liked it, but a lot of F-bombs. I was kind of, not that it bothers me, but I was surprised. And I can tell you one thing right now: when Disney does their streaming service, and they have the Marvel shows on their streaming service, you won't be hearing any F-bombs. You will not. And of course, today, Netflix made it official by canceling Punisher and Jessica Jones. So they are finished with all the Marvel shows streaming. But Jeff Loeb over at Marvel, who I've had an opportunity to meet. Very, very nice. Very cool guy. It's been a long time since I met him, but I'm sure he's still cool and he's pretty nice. He shared like a letter to fans today, almost making you think it's possible that like Daredevil and the Punisher, Jessica Jones, we may see those make an appearance on the Disney streaming. He didn't come out and say that we would, but I don't know. Never know. All right, so anywho, so what's hopping on this week's show? Oh, wait, what? Oh, Little Whizbub. Yes, it's a Little Whizbub. Whizbub's reminding me that I should point out that, yes, the Gaming Gang and thus the Daily Dope are absolutely non-profit. So if you like the Gaming Gang, if you happen to get a kick out of the Daily Dope, then let me please ask you to make a small donation to Lil Bub's Big Fund. That's kind of funny. Small donation, Lil Bub Big Fund. And the American Society, I should say, for the prevention of cruelty to animals. Jeez. Sitting there going, okay, small donation, Lil Bub, Big Fund. Anywho, so, Lil Bub's Big Fund over at the ASPCA actually helps special needs animals who are awaiting adoption, who are awaiting going, hopefully, to their forever homes. One thing I do want to point out, in the, what is it now? I think it's like 5-6 years-ish? Like over the last 6 years, Lil Bub has actually raised over $500,000 for special needs animals. Do want to also mention that 100% of the funds raised by Lil Bub's Big Fund is granted out to organizations who do care for special needs pets awaiting adoption. All right, so let's hear from Lil Bub herself. That's right. Good job, Lil Bub. So, like I said before, I know some people are like, oh, I hate when he does that cat thing in the show. Well, I'll tell you what, I could be sitting here saying, go to my Patreon. Send me money in my Patreon. I don't do that. Anywho, so, damn, we're getting drop frames jumping up again. This is, this is kind of irritating. Not too bad, not horrible, but still. I don't know. In fact, so here's my Lil Bub mug. I just got that. Just got that last week. I got a big little bub. So this is my little whiz bub. Because when I saw that with little bub dressed as a wizard, I was like, okay, gotta get that. And then they just had a sale at the Lil Bub store at lilbub.com. So I got a mug, and I got like a big Lil Bub. Okay, that sounds kind of weird too. So I had to laugh because I'm thinking, it's probably just a little bit bigger than that. No, it's like the size of a cat. It's like, okay. All right, moving right along. Hey, I know people are sitting there going, all right, so it's about a half hour. That's usually how much time the news goes. Isn't it about time for us to talk about the actual game I'm featuring today? Why, yes, basically enough. It's time. That's right, because Master of Wills is from Stormcrest Games, not a company I am overly familiar with, and I do believe that Master of Wills is the only design that they have out, although there are some expansions, and I'll talk about that in just a moment. The game is designed by Randy Van Gelder, hopefully I'm getting that correct, with artwork provided by Joshua Calloway. The game is for 2 to 4 players, or I should say 2 or 4 players. My mistake, there's no 3-player option here. For ages 13 and up, plays in around 30 to 45 minutes, although I gotta point out, 45 minutes, probably not. That's a little long. Once you kind of get the hang of the game, it's going to run probably even less than 30 minutes. Master of Wills did come out in 2017. It does carry an MSRP of $59.99. And I have seen it on some online retailers for like mid-40s. So just so you know. All right, so let's move on over to the other camera. Let's switch on over here. And I'm going to pop my reading specs on. I've been trying to get a review of this done for a while. Something keeps popping up that kind of stops me from, kind of prevents me. You know what? I'm going to drop this volume. Seems a little high. All right, drop frames are still sticking where they're at. Okay, so anyway, something just keeps like popping up, preventing me from doing the review. It's like, what the hell's going on here? So finally, gonna get the review in. So of course, here's the box here. I did an unboxing about 3 weeks ago, so showed off some of the cards. I'm gonna discuss the game as well. Just got a little plastic insert here, a little storage tray. Although for some strange reason, I don't know if it's just me, it's just my copy, or if this was just kind of something as far as the molding. This spot here, this bottom piece is like a little too narrow for the cards. So if I drop cards in here, they end up like super wedged in. So don't know. I don't know if it just happened to be, my plastic is a little messed up or not. All right, so Master of Wills is a game of influence and manipulation. This game has kind of a cyberpunkish theme. Although I'll be the first to point out, I'm just going to put that box down here. Right, not to block out some of the lighting and stuff. Do want to point out, the theme really, this is not dripping in theme. It's got cool artwork. Like the artwork, I like how the game actually plays out. But it doesn't have a super baked in theme. Honestly, you could be rabbits fighting over, Farmer Johnson's field of vegetables and stuff. So now that's not a knock. I'm just pointing out because I know some people are like, "Whoa, Cyberpunk, baby! Oh yeah, gotta get me my William Gibson, my Bruce Sterling. Come on, fill me up." You are not gonna get that kind of vibe from this game. So basically, what this game breaks down to is it's kind of a tug of war. So it's basically a tug of war. There's two different factions who are battling out. We've got the Alpha Guard, and we've got the Razor Corp. Or you could call it Razor Core. That's what I was personally saying, Razor Core. It's because it seems Alpha Guard, Razor Core. Although I do think, since it's supposed to be cyberpunkish, that it's supposed to be Razor Corp, like corporation, not like Marine Corps. Usually if it's Corps, there's an S at the end anyway. But I don't know. For some reason, I kept calling it Razor Corps. So these are your two factions. And you'll have your deck of faction cards as well. Now, there is a deck builder element to this game. And when you're first going to start off... Okay, so these are the available cards for each of the factions. And you're going to... You don't necessarily need to sit there and build a deck to play the game. So my recommendation is, when you're first learning to play Master of Wills, first few games, just take all of the cards from your faction, shuffle them up, play it that way. Yes, there's going to be a lot more luck, a lot more randomness in this, as opposed to if you built your own deck. But the thing is, if you sit there and try to build your own deck without knowing what these cards actually do, and each of the players will have this kind of play aid. So you notice there are a lot of symbols because it's both sides of this card. So if you're trying to build a deck right off the bat, like the first time or two you've played, you're to me, I think you're probably going to be ending up wasting your time, and not really. Just like, for an example, if you first time you ever played Magic the Gathering, or first time you ever played something along the lines of, let's say Legend of the Five Rings, any trading card game, right? I have to say trading card game. Any sort of trading card game, any kind of deck building game where you actually build your deck ahead of time, not while you play. So for an example, I'm not talking about like Thunderstone Quest or Clank. Those, you're building your deck as you're playing. I'm talking about when you pre-build your deck, or you build your deck pre-game. Just imagine if the first time you actually played the game, you had to do that. If you had to do that with Magic the Gathering, you'd never play that game again, because you'd be like, I don't know what the hell's going on. So that's why I recommend just take... I mean, granted, it'll make your deck way, way bigger than it should be. But once you get a hang of it, then by all means, you're going to want to sit back and start putting together your deck, just crafting your own deck. So we got the two factions. So we got Alpha Guard, Razor Corp, and you can play 2 or 4 players. In reality, Master of Wills is a 2-player game. There is a 4-player variant. I guess we would say it's 2-on-2 teams. All you're really doing is you're taking turns, taking your faction's turn. So yeah, so it's still really a 2-player game. Although I haven't played it. I gotta be honest. I have not played a 4-player 2-on-2 team match. I would think that would be kind of interesting. Trying to match the playstyle of the other player that's on your team. You know, trying to work in conjunction. Even more interesting if you couldn't talk. All right, so I'm going to kind of show off some of these cards here, kind of give you an idea. So we've got different things we can do. We've got actions. So it's going to show you these different icons here. Let's say, okay, round effect. So we've got an area here on the board. This is where if we have any kind of round effect card in play, it's going to go here. These are for special effect cards right over here. One of the interesting aspects of this game is you may not necessarily get to play one of your cards during your turn. And I'll explain in a bit. But just kind of showing you, we've got actions, we've got neutrals, we have legendary. So we've got legendary cards, we've got epic cards. So legendary cards are super powerful cards. Epic cards are powerful cards. Actions, neutrals, those are kind of standard. So what you do is when you're building your deck, once you've gotten the hang of Master of Wills and you're building a deck, you are limited to how many of these cards you can have. So you have to put together a 20 to 30 card deck. There are 8 rounds to the game. So having 30 cards, I guess I could see someone doing that, especially if they're going for a particular sort of finished product, I guess we'll say. If they're going for a specific strategy with their deck, yes, they might want to go with 30 cards. But the reality being that there's 8 rounds, you're probably not going to see more than 8 of your own cards from your deck. You're going, slim to win, right? So anyway, just kind of giving you an idea of some of the different cards. Like I said, they've all got various different icons on them, and then it also tells you what they can do. You can kill recruits. You can take control of recruits as they come out. Draw 3 random community cards and view them. Place 2 in the neutral area and 1 in your loyalist area. So all different stuff. So I'm just shuffling these up. As far as the 2 different factions, they are kind of similar. Razor Corp tends to have more cards that allow you to kill other cards, other members of the various different you're recruiting into your factions. Whereas Alpha Guard tends to be a little sneakier, a little less upfront, in your face. Kind of give you an idea of some of these cards here. So you'll see, that is Razor Corp symbol. So through there. All right. So you're gonna have your decks. You're gonna put them over here. Yes, my mug is actually blocking off the Razor Corp deck up here, but that's all you're missing up there. So we've got the community. This is community deck here. This is neutral area. These are for your recruits. These are your loyalists. These are your allies. Whole point of the game is after 8 rounds, when you total up all the people who are in your recruits, loyalists, and allies, whoever has the most points is going to be the winner. So to start off the game, each of the players is going to draw a community card, flip it over. These cards have values. So we've got a 5 and a 7. So the Alpha Guard team would be going first. So what you're going to do is you're going to take these cards and put them in the afterlife. The afterlife is effectively your discard pile. Now, there are cards that could come into play that are going to allow you to play cards or retrieve cards from the discard pile. One thing I want to point out, I thought is kind of odd, is the backing on the community deck. I mean, we've got this cool artwork. I mean, it's almost kind of photorealistic artwork, and then it's got kind of oddball, kind of cartoonish background to it. Whereas, of course, for the factions, they've got these helms. Yeah, okay, so like a Spartan helm. I thought that's kind of cool. I just thought, it doesn't affect the enjoyment of the game. I just thought it was a little odd that they went with something like this, with a symbol like this. So you're also going to see that we've got up here, this is the round tracker. Got a little meeple. Kept joking around calling him Mr. Lemonhead because he's got kind of a pointed head. I don't know why we were doing that, but so okay. All right, moving along. Time to move Mr. Lemonhead. Okay, so what you're going to do next is you are going to fill the neutral zone with 6 cards. So these are 6 individuals. We might as well move it back up here, all the way up here. We know we're playing Master of Wills. Okay. So these are the 6 individuals who are available at the moment for each of us to bring over to our sides. So, as I mentioned, this game is very much a tug of war until the individuals reach either one of the allies' sides here. Then they're pretty much untouchable. Can't kill them, can't move them, can't really mess with them. But while they're in the neutral area, as well as the recruits and loyalists, yeah, you can mess around with them. So the first things we're going to take a look at is, okay, we're going to take a look at the Honorable Senator here. It's fairly kind of bland, right? So we see nothing up here. So shows that, okay, member of the government, because there are different groups here. So member of the government, it's worth 7 points, basically 7 victory points at the end of the game. And that's it. Also below it says loyalists. So when it is your turn, and each round is made up of 1 turn for each player. When it's your turn, the first thing you need to do is you need to move a card. Have to do it. You have to move a card. Even if it's going to help your opponent, you have to move a card. So a lot of times you're going to be looking at, okay, so what is this going to let me do? So for an example, so the government senator here, it's worth 7 points. It also says loyalists. So when you move this governor, if you decide, hey, not governor, senator, if you want to have the senator as part of your team, it goes to loyalists. When you move the senator, he's going to go to the loyalists. It's going to tell you, when you move the card, where it's going to go. Now, a vast majority of the cards are not just going to say 7 points, move it to the loyalists. Hey, Ghost World, my on-time streak ruined. That's it. I'm wrapping up the show then. We're done. Wow, I am still getting a lot of drop frames here. We're at like 3.2%. I don't know what's going on. That's weird. That stinks, because Wednesday's show had 0 drop frames. So hopefully this isn't... let's take a look. I don't know. We're looking okay. Anyway, hey, Ghost, good to see you. I am good. I'm not sure who else is watching today, but I am doing okay. Although, yeah, it should be looking good, but I don't know. Well, the drop frames, usually what it'll be is all of a sudden I'll be like, something's going on, and then boom, it just skips. Just kind of skips off. But not terrible, but still, 3% drop frames is not good. Something I have no control really over. Anyway, good to see you, Ghost. So yeah, I'm doing all right. If you watched the show earlier on, I kind of talk about why I didn't have a show Friday and stuff like that. Anywho, all right, so let's get back into talking about the various different individuals here. So we get an entertainer. So the entertainer has orange. If you decide to move the entertainer, it goes immediately to allies. But if you notice, the entertainer's worth -4 victory points. Huh. Okay. Well, maybe that's not so hot. But we also do notice we've got this box here. So we're seeing we've got blue, black, and purple. Any of those cards of those colors that would happen to be in this neutral area would move. Now, for an example, we only have the 1 purple card. So, as an example, if I decided I was going to move the Energy Dancer, the Energy Dancer would automatically go to my allies. Goes into my allies slot. Then, I would actually move this purple card to 1, 2. And now, I also have this Survivalist who is here as a loyalist. Now, this card can be pulled back towards the middle, back towards my opponent's side, But for now, it would be sitting here. That's to give you an idea of how that would work. Now, something else I should point out is we've got the Exo Peacemaker. So we see that's worth 7. So now we see a negative number, right? A -2 for purple, a +1 for blue. So what that'll mean is that we also have allies underneath government. So if we were to move this, it's going to go over into the allies. But the other thing too is we have a faction symbol on the card right here. As you can see, there is the symbol for the factions. Now, that is any faction. Either of the 2 factions count, because it's not showing the actual logo for the factions themselves. It's showing the logo on the card, right? So remember, that's the logo for Alpha Guard right there. Let's let that kind of focus in there. But this is the logo as a faction. So if you are to move a card that has a faction logo, that means after you've done the movement, you get to draw one of your cards from your deck and play one of your cards from your hand, because you're going to start the game off with 3 cards from your deck in your hand for you to utilize. So we've got that. Now we can take a look here. We've got the collector. So we got the collector, part of the unions. If we were to decide to move the collector, we are going to draw 3 community cards. That's what these symbols mean. These are community cards. So that basically means that we would be adding more individuals into the neutral area here. At the end of your turn, you have to have at least 3 of the individuals that are able to be recruited in this area here. What else do we have? I think, yeah, that should be about it as far as explaining the different cards. So, as an example, you could sit there and be like, okay, well, let's say it's my turn. I decide, well, I think I will take the collector, because I can move the collector all the way into the allies, right? So that's my movement. So that is my move phase here. So we see it's a +1 on the red. So we're going to say, okay, we're going to move 1 here. So we see the senator. He moves over to our recruits. And we also have +1 to the gray. So we move the ruthless CEO over to my side. So if the game ended right now, I would have 22 points. But of course, the game is not going to end right now. So the next thing we're going to do is we've got the 3 symbols for... Ghost says, I'm getting the sense this is a game of political faction rivalry. It's kind of a game of... It's a kind of a tug of war game. More than anything else. But it's got a lot of interesting wrinkles. There's one thing that I have to point out is what really adds a lot of meat onto the bones of this game is going to be your faction deck. Playing the cards from your faction deck are going to do all these different things. Now, yes, there is a strategy when you're sitting here looking at the different cards that are available to you. Okay, well, I really want to get this one here, but that's going to actually help my opponent out more. I don't know. But it's not as much. You're not going to run into like a lot of analysis paralysis as you would in some games, because I mean you're basically just kind of looking at this. You're already going to have been looking at cards you've got in your hand. So as an example, cards I have, we've got choose 2 opponent recruits and move to your loyalists. Opponent may choose 1 card in the neutral area and move to their recruits. That is this one here. That is an epic card, which if we were going to stick to the the actual deck building rules, I could only have 2 of these in my deck. Holy cow, look at this. I've got legendary, epic, and epic. It's pretty wild. So we've got Blue Burn. Look at opponent's faction hand. Choose 1 card, play it immediately. Opponent does not draw a replacement card. Or Proxy. Draw 4 faction cards from either deck. Choose 1 card, place in your faction hand. Place the other 3 back on top of the same deck in any order. So those are the cards I've got in my hand. Now granted, at the moment, they wouldn't probably be doing anything too exciting. And because the original card I moved, which is this one here, does not show a faction icon. So that means I cannot play a faction card. I don't get an opportunity to play a faction card. But let me finish up. So we've got the 3 community cards. We're going to take 1, 2, 3. There we go. So those are our new individuals who are out there. So the next thing we would do is we get to the point where it's like, okay, now would be when I play a faction card, but I can't because the card I originally moved, I want to say I believe they call it a starter card, did not have a faction icon on it. So it would now go over to, let's just grab cards. 1, 2, 3. Let's go on over to the Razor Corp player. So the Razor Corp player would be sitting there saying, okay, so first thing, and one thing I should point out, if you have fewer than the 3 individuals in the neutral zone here, you at the end of the turn, you will draw another community card. Another member of the community comes out. So sitting here, we'd be like, okay, well, what do we got? What do we got? So it's possible that as the Razor Corp player, I might consider taking the Energy Dancer, even though it is -4 victory points. Goes into the allies, so right there, that's going to be locked in. So my -4 points on this side is locked in. Can't lose it. But you notice we had +2, +2, +2. So we got +2 blue. We go, okay, +2 blue. So we're going to move the FemOps Special Agent over to the Loyalists. Then we don't have any black cards. We don't have any black border cards out here. But we do have purple. So it shows purple +2. Boom. Over here. So it'd move over to there. So we've got the Survivalist. So we'd be looking at 12 points right now. No, I'm sorry, 14 points right now for this player for the Razor Corp. So see here, we've got the three individuals. You know what? If I remember right, maybe it's 4. I think if we have 3, we still draw 1, like so. So that would be our first round. Moving on to the second round, and now it would go to the Alpha Guard player again. So this time the Alpha Guard player says, okay, well, what the heck? Let's see what we got here. Not a whole heck of a lot cooking. Nothing too exciting cooking here. We don't have purple. We don't have brown. So what I could do is I could say, let's take the Entertainer, right? So this is the Dream Dealer. Like I said, the artwork's pretty cool in this. So the Dream Dealer, we could move the Dream Dealer, and the Dream Dealer would go to Loyalists. So it'd have a -4 blue. So if there was a blue card, anywhere that's not in the allies, right? So say for an example, let's say I had a blue card in my Loyalists here. Let's say this was blue. That means that it's moving 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 over to my opponent. So you kind of have to, take a look to see what's going on, what's out there, like what can you take that's not going to eventually end up being like messing you up by sending some of your non-allies from your side of the board over to your opponent's side. So you got to be careful with that. So I did take that. So it does have a community card symbol on it. So we're going to put another community card out. But it also has a faction logo there. So I've got my 3 cards. Allows me to draw a card. So now I got 4. Let's see. Let's see what we've got. Kill 1 entertainer, orange, and 1 underground, black. That isn't gonna help us too much. Got the 4 faction cards. Choose 2 opponent recruits. Don't have any recruits over here. Look at an opponent's faction hand. Choose 1 card, play it immediately. You know what? We'll play that. So this is something that's going to happen. Shows it's a spy. Spy can manipulate. This is just, I mean, just kind of give you a little bit of background on some of these. So it says the spy can manipulate the game by viewing or using cards in alternative ways, reversing the turn order, and much more. So what it allows me to do is, okay, so I get to look at my opponent's remove a lasting effect. There aren't any lasting effects. Place card face down in round effect. Choose 1 card that opponent moves during the next move phase and place in your recruits. Could possibly do that. Choose up to 3 random afterlife cards, place them in their normal starting position. Do not play the move, draw faction actions. So that could possibly be interesting. So I would say, okay, I'm playing this. There are only 2 cards in the afterlife. Flip this over, so loyalists and loyalists. And if you start getting a bunch that are kind of getting all, you just put them together like that, just so you can see like the top, what their values are and things like that. So doing this, taking these 2 cards here, I don't do another, I get to draw another card, play it. We don't do the movement, anything like that. It's just, those are going into my loyalist. And that would go into the afterlife. Or actually, you'd maybe put it off to the side as a discard, seeing that these are faction cards, not community cards. So, anywho, that is pretty much. Yep, so both of these would be off. That's kind of how you're going to play the game. So, finishing up, let's finish up with the Razor Corp player here. So, taking a look, let's see, what do we got? Well, let's see, ooh, that doesn't look all that great. This should be all right. Even though it's not going to allow me to play a faction card, or even add anybody else new to the community. If I take the DEA infantry, they become a recruit, so they go there. So they're a recruit there. There are no black cards, no black border cards that are out here. So the -2 towards my opponent for the black doesn't do anything. Doesn't matter. But it does give me +1 on the purple. That would bring my survivalist over into my allies. So once again, as I mentioned before, once you get these individuals, these community members into your allies, they're locked in there. They're going to stay in your, let's move it out of there. There was some bunch of glare coming down on it. They're going to stay here. They can't be messed with. That's why you see there's a little lock on these, as far as means they're locked. Can't pull them out, can't kill them, can't mess around with them. So you're going to continue to do this through your 8 rounds, and by the end of your 8th round, then you're going to sit back and you're going to, okay, just for the heck of it, let's just toss a couple of these out here. At the end of the 8th round, you're just going to count up what you've got on your side of the board. So of course, when you're playing, one player is going to be over sitting on this side, the other players are going to be sitting over on this side. You're just going to kind of lay this across the table. So you're each sitting there on your own side of the board. just to make life easier. The round effects here, where was the one? Didn't we have a round effect in this one here? Yeah, okay, so it's a round effect, next opponent move. You place this face down in the round effect. So if you had an opportunity to play your faction card and it was a round effect, some of them say play it face up. This one says play it face down. You would play it face down, and you got to remember what it is. So, for example, this is actually going to take place in the opponent's turn. So this would be taking place in the Alpha Guard turn. A lot of times with these round effect cards, especially the ones that go face down, they can be kind of powerful, but they can also end up where the prerequisites for it are not met, and basically nothing happens with the card. So that's something to keep in mind when you're building your deck and you're including different round effect cards. Keep in mind that there are times that the round effect, you're going to play it and get nothing out of it. So basically, having this in your deck is just going to end up being bloat. It's going to be deck bloat. I'm not saying that that's always the case. I'm just pointing out that you'll sit there and be like, whoa, oh man, that's cool. That looks really awesome. I definitely got to get this card in there. Well, take a look at what the prerequisites are. So, because it could be like, oh, well, my opponent didn't end up drawing a faction card, so I don't get to do anything. So, like I said, what really sets the game apart is with these different faction cards that you're going to be able to play. But as you can see, going through these rounds, there's going to be times where you may not have, it doesn't happen often, but you may not have cards that have faction icons on them, the faction logo there. So whoever, no matter who you move, you're not going to end up getting a chance to play one of your faction cards. You're not going to be able to draw one from your deck and play one of your cards. So I found that interesting too. That's where the whole 20 to 30 cards, if you build your deck, comes into play. And I mean, sometimes you get bonus turns, and sometimes the game may even, something could happen where it's going to go actually longer than the 8 rounds. That's few and far between, but it is a possibility. It is a possibility that could happen. But for the most part, you're probably not even going to get a chance to play 8 faction cards. Probably at most, if you're lucky, you're going to get 8, maybe 9 faction cards. So when you're building that deck, once you have an idea how to play Master of Wills, you're, like I said before, you're more than likely going to want to go slim to win. Go with the 20, go closer to 20 cards than to the 30 cards. So anyway, so once you've finished up your rounds, you're just simply going to total up the victory point totals for anybody who's on your side of the board. Whoever's got the highest number of points is declared the winner. And that's pretty much it. The games do run about a half hour. I'll be the first to point out that I have not wrapped my head around every aspect of Master of Wills. I'll be the first one to point that out. Now, we have played the game 5 times. I've played it 5 times. So, all 5 times against Cameron, against my nephew. So, I have played against the same person all 5 times. And I got to be honest, I don't know. I don't know if I would say I've played enough of the game to actually feel that I'm like, I can build a 20 card deck for my faction. No problem. It'll be sweet. It'll be a killer. It'll be, a lean, mean machine. No, I can't claim that. So there are still some wrinkles to the design that I'm sure have not wrapped myself completely around yet. But having played it 5 times, I can tell you the vast majority of the mechanics and the way things work together in it, I dig it. I like it. I haven't played tons of like tug of war games. Word on the Street, I think, is one. So Ghost is asking, is this just a base game or are there expansions available? I will answer that in just a sec. So, what do I think of Master of Wills? It's easy to learn. So it's pretty easy to kind of just bust out and say, okay, so this is the premise of the game. Kind of a tug of a war. You're trying to get your individuals in the community into your allies, and then they're going to stay there, keeping in mind that things are going to move all back and forth, back and forth. And then you can kind of drop whammies on your opponent or do cool things for yourself too. It's not always on your opponent that your faction cards are affecting. So that's the faction cards is where really the meat of the design comes into play. Now, granted, the moving back and forth, watching watching some character go from one side to the other, back to the other side, just kind of back and forth, and not getting into that ally section is kind of funny sometimes. But the real meat and potatoes of the design is in those faction cards. So very, very cool. This game looked like something that it's not. You don't really need to have a whole lot of experience with collectible card games or trading card games to enjoy Master of Wills. Now, that being said, it's not as if anything mechanically here is revolutionary. I mean, we've seen this kind of stuff before. Does it mesh together really well? Oh, yeah, definitely does. I also pointed out earlier on, as I started talking about the game, the theme isn't really baked into it. Like I said, it could be anything. I could be one den of rabbits and you're a den of rabbits, and the board itself is like, what did I say? Like Farmer McGillicuddy's farm. And we're like trying to pull the different veggies and stuff back and forth of whose den, could be anything. Is that a big deal? Nah, not really. Not a big deal at all. Artwork's good. Quality components, pretty nice. I did point out that the storage tray, the plastic storage that I've got in my box, one of them seems to be a little small down at the bottom. So when I drop the cards in, they actually wedge in there. I had to be really careful pulling them out without tearing the cards. So I stopped using that one. But all in all, on a scale of 1 to 10, I definitely give Master of Wills a solid 8.2. I enjoyed it. I will play this again. I'll tell you that right now. I will play this again. I would like to play this to the point where I'm like, oh yeah, okay, I can put together, a kick-ass 20-card faction deck that's going to mow down my opponents. I do ding it a little bit because there is a lot of luck involved. There's a lot of randomness involved. And even if you put together, even if you were to build a, just an excellent 20-card faction deck, there's no guarantee that you're ever going to pull those cards off. So some people won't dig that. Some people won't like the luck and the randomness involved in the design. I liked it. I think it's pretty cool. It is not a game where you can really sit there outside of the faction cards you're looking at. You're not planning way far ahead. It is not a game. It's more a game that you're going to react to mainly what are the individuals that are out there in the community. Who can I move that's going to give me the most bonuses as far as, using a faction card, dragging more colored cards over to my side, messing with my opponent, things like that. So yeah, liked it. Definitely liked it. 8.2 out of 10. So Ghost was asking, are there expansions available? Yes, there are. I do not know much about them. I don't know if they're still available. So I did point out this carries an MSRP of $59.99. Another reason why I gave it an 8.2 is I think that's a little high. For what you get. Now, I do point out there are online retailers out there. I've seen it for mid 40s. I think that's pretty fair. But Master of Wills is also available as an iOS and Android app game. I might recommend, if you're up in the air, if you check this out and you're like, yeah, I don't know. Would I like that game? It looks interesting, but I'm not completely sold. I would recommend you go and you check out the app. Check out the app. It's going to be far less than, mid 40s to $60. So I have not checked out the app myself. I don't know how well it plays. Of course, as with almost anything, you're never going to get the same experience as you do from an actual human being sitting across the table from you, either good or bad. But I would definitely say check that out. So if you go to masterofwills.com, you can check out the app there. And of course, like I said, I dig it. I thought this is a pretty cool game. I mean, there are a few little aspects to it that, brought the score down a little bit, but 8.2 is still a very, very solid score. Definitely recommend Master of Wills. All right. So on tomorrow's show, as I mentioned, got to get ready to pick this up because this box is heavy. From Level 99 Games, I am going to take a look at Millennium Blades. So as I had in the news earlier, there is a collusion expansion for Millennium Blades. It's supposed to be the final expansion for the game, but I do have the core game. So I'm going to crack this open. We're going to take a look at this. It's supposed to be really, really wild and kind of bizarre. So I kind of dig that kind of stuff. On Wednesday's show, I will be reviewing The Dark Sands from GMT Games. Yes, it's a War Game Wednesday. And I might actually crack open another one of the Tiny Battle Publishing games for a first look. So, like I did on last Wednesday's show. Then on Thursday, I will be reviewing Coriolis Emissary Lost from my friends over at Free League Publishing and Modifius Entertainment. As for Friday, I don't know. Kind of up in the air on Friday right now. So we shall find out. Tuesdays, I'm still trying to get some interviews together so we can have Talkie Tuesdays. But didn't really have an opportunity to set anything up. So, anywho, that's it for tonight's show. As I like to point out, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to go visit thegaminggang.com for the latest gaming news, reviews, comics, movies, TV. And now you know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. If you like the video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. If you check out some of the Gaming Gang videos and you dig the channel, please subscribe. Click the little bell, ring that bell, because then you'll not only be notified when there's a new video up, you'll also be notified when the stream goes live, which is normally around 7 o'clock Central Time. All right, so I will be back tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of your Monday, and thank you very much for watching.